Fanatics. Hey, thanks for joining us. You've reached the Fanatics of Film, and you've reached Blasterpiece Theater. This is our Star Wars show, and I've got my friend, a good cohort, Joe, with me.
Good evening. And tonight we're going to talk about Solo. Kind of, I guess, what went wrong on the opening weekend. Yeah,
just something that is kind of crazy. Of course, we all know that box office did suffer big time from this lowest all time that we've ever seen in a Star Wars movie.
Which is ironic, considering it is the most expensive Star Wars movie that has ever been made. It was about the $300 million mark, and that's because part of it is because they ended up firing the original directors. They had to reshoot an entire character. Paul Bettany. Forgive me. Paul Bettany, the character he played was originally played by a different actor who wasn't available for reshoots, so they had to reshoot all that. So a lot of money into this movie. And yeah, the lowest opening weekend for a Star Wars movie to date. Considering how many more they're planning on churning out, it might not be the last. But it still has a certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes of 73, which is the lowest of the Star Wars Disney movies. Yeah. But it's still a higher rating than the prequels.
Right. And like I said, from what I still haven't seen this movie yet, just because I have aired on the side of the boycott. However, I am curious and very excited to see this. I've always loved the idea of Han Solo and his younger story, etc., his backstory. Yeah. A lot of people didn't, complain. They said they didn't like it, didn't want it, whatever, but it looks pretty amazing. Jedi Council was talking about this last night, specifically about how if it hadn't cost so much, if they hadn't had to do all these reshoots, if they hadn't had to hire, fire the old directors, fire Lord Miller, hire Ron Howard, redo so many, shoot 80% of the movie or whatever they had to reshoot, would they be, I guess they're probably a lot more worried because they have sunk so much more money into it. They were looking at 100, or at least my biggest beef with Disney right now is them saying that there were pre-ticket sales of 150 to 170 for opening weekend. That it seems like a complete all-out farce for them to be saying that there were all these pre-sold tickets when there weren't.
You know what? At the same time, I don't know, because when I went and saw it, and I didn't even go until Saturday, just because Arrested Development's new season dropped on Friday, and I figured I didn't want to deal with the crowd. I just stay at home and watch Arrested Development. But I went and saw it on Saturday, and when I was picking out tickets, almost every seat was sold out. But then when we went and saw it, most of the theater was full, but the seats that I really wanted were sold out. Nobody claimed them. So I don't know if people just bought tickets and returned them, or just didn't show up and went to a later time. I don't know.
What night did you go on?
It was Saturday afternoon. So last Saturday afternoon, I went and saw it with two of my friends.
And so, in the theater that you went into, would you say it was half full, 3/4 full?
I would say it was over half full, and it was one of the smaller theaters at the Century 16, Cinemark Century, which they have the huge megaplex theaters, but and I know it was playing on 3 or 4 screens, but 2 of them were on the smaller ones. So, which actually ties into one of the reasons why I read in the Insider, Film Insider websites like Variety and things like that do these tallies. There is a reason for that, which we'll get to.
And I was just going to say, and I haven't read much of Variety, but you see, it sounds like to me they're a pretty credible source.
Variety
according
and
to
IGN and things like that I was reading in Entertainment Weekly and stuff, because they're all going to monitor how these big blockbuster movies do. And
they're Disney shill.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a conspiracy theory that was saying that Disney bought these reporters to feign the boycott or Star Wars fatigue, as that it was labeled in the media. But
which is bull.
But that would even be more money that Disney would be shelling out to keep people silent. I really think that if the boycott had really been the one finite reason as to why this movie didn't make the money they projected, I don't think that they would actually shy away from that. That would be a pretty big thing to ignore. They wanted to reach the $130 to $150 million mark. They didn't even break the $100 million mark. When I last heard about it on Sunday, it was $84 million.
Yeah, and by that time on Monday, it was like 101 or something. So they just barely
made the
for their Memorial Day 4-day weekend forecast. They had basically outright said, "Look at everybody, we've sold 150 to 170 million, whatever. It's okay. You can all go to see Solo because we've had this huge." And it's forgive me, but it seems like it's an all-out lie. Like it's a complete total farce. Like that's just something that is complete and total. I mean, like I don't trust the corporation of Disney at all anymore, let alone Lucasfilm.
Well, Disney could be saying that. I don't think any of the I don't think any of the theaters came out and said that.
Right.
I don't think any of the I didn't read that in Variety. I didn't read it on IGN. I didn't read it on any of the Entertainment Weekly.
But you had heard about it, right? This was something that was in.
It
was in circulation.
But it was Disney's publicists that were saying that, so
right.
They could have been exaggerating. I don't even know if it debuted in other countries yet, or if I don't think it was a global release at the same time. I bet you it's going to be opening up in like China this weekend or something like that. So I don't know if they're even able to take into international.
Well, it did open in China and bombed.
Did it? Okay.
It did open in China and bombed.
Ironically here, two of Disney's biggest franchises that they've acquired, Marvel and Star Wars. The Star Wars movies, for the most part, in like Japan and China, fare well, but they're not huge, not like the original three, whereas the Marvel movies, on the other hand, are huge, but that's because some of the Marvel characters have stayed relevant. Like Japan had their own Super Sentai show in the 70s with their own version of Spider-Man that was licensed, and there was a two-way. Marvel licensed a character from, I think it was Godzilla from Toho, so Toho licensed Spider-Man, and he's not Peter Parker. He's a character who, like most Super Sentai, he does the move, and then the Spider-Man costume appears on him like a Power Ranger. So a lot of those characters are more relevant to them, where Star Wars not so much. So that doesn't surprise me. I would like to hear how it fared in the UK, though. That would be interesting, because Star Wars is very popular in the UK. I mean, let's face it, dude. Star Wars is huge. I mean, 300 million people around the world see a Star Wars movie. It's not like a weird culty little thing like Star Trek that had to build an audience for 30 years to get to the point where it's a huge franchise. Star Wars has been as big as the NFL, as big as Starbucks and McDonald's and Walmart. It's huge.
So that brings us to the next thing that I was going to talk about. So being that it's such a huge thing, we all know it is probably the most popular franchise to date. It may not have been people say of all time, and honestly, I don't know.
You can't do 25 James Bond movies and be working on a 25th if you're not doing something right.
That's true. Okay, so James Bond excluded.
Yeah, and maybe in Godzilla in Japan.
Okay. Well, forgive me. What was it? Shin
Godzilla. We're going to have to do a review on that because that movie's it's phenomenal. And if you're a Godzilla fan, even if you're not, and you liked the 2014 Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One, if you liked his Godzilla movie, you'd like Shin Godzilla. It's different.
So, but that does, and we're excited about that. In general, I mean, you said specifically, Joe, you said that basically it's because of Memorial Day weekend.
No. There are actually multiple factors in mind. We can break this down.
Let's do it.
Break this down. The first factor, I'm breaking it down for you. The first factor here is really bad marketing on Disney's. Disney Lucasfilm.
I agree.
Because when you have a $300 million movie, you really want to hype that. So the first thing is, when we saw Justice League back in November, I remember saying to Ben here, I hope we get a solo teaser. No solo teaser. Then when we saw Last Jedi opening night, I hope we get a solo teaser.
I remember.
No solo teaser. You would think that would be the prime opportunity. They usually launch the first trailer at least 6 months before the movie comes out, and they've done that for every Star Wars film beginning with Phantom Menace, because marketing's changed since the original 3. And we didn't get the trailer campaigns till mid-March.
I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars so much. And, I'm sure that it may have done better if it was released in December, like they had been doing every December and just pushing everything to December. And that's just the way that the Disney Star Wars has been going.
I think so.
And they've been being successful in December, which is what it is.
Because that'll bring me to my third point.
But my big thing, and I'm sure that played some into it, but my big thing, I have been looking forward to Aquaman for about 3 to 4 freaking years now that when they first announced as Aquaman with Jason Momoa, having him as Aquaman, having the Snyder DC, all these things. I have been so psyched for Aquaman. It's coming out this December. We still haven't seen a trailer.
We probably will by next month. Which 6 months in advance.
Which is exciting to me. I don't know why we haven't seen one yet, but I do want to. I'm dying to see an Aquaman trailer. But this just brings me to my point. Is like I love Star Wars so much, but I did not want them to move it to December because I wanted Aquaman to succeed, and I knew that Aquaman's going to be in December. It would have to fight. It would have to compete with Star Wars. And I mean, granted, if they did move it to December, maybe Aquaman would move up. That's probably what they would do.
My second point is the Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend is notoriously hit or miss for a film, whether it's a big franchise movie or if it's a small self-contained movie. It's a notoriously rough weekend. For every one Avengers, there's 10 Tomorrowlands. It's a follow spring break. A lot of people travel.
But Star Wars fans, I mean, come on, Joe. Seriously, like,
dude, if you're on a vacation, the last thing you're going to want to do. When I go on a vacation, I don't go see a movie. I'm on a vacation.
Right, but what I'm talking about is the diehard Star Wars fans. The diehard Star Wars fans. Okay, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. A Star Wars movie is coming out over a weekend. It doesn't freaking matter what's happening. If I'm on vacation or not, it doesn't matter. I am going to go see that movie.
I can't speak for everybody because I'm a diehard fan, but there have been times where I've missed a movie opening weekend that I really wanted to see, and I've seen it the weekend after or even 2 weeks after. Because it's that holiday, you're taking a big gamble no matter what the property is, and that's what I mean.
That's true.
For every Avengers movie, and the Avengers was the only Marvel movie to open up on Memorial Day weekend, and it blew it out of the water. But so many other films fail on that. But you also have to understand that Solo's a standalone movie. It fits into the entire Star Wars canon, but the Avengers was the culmination of 5 previous movies leading to that.
It doesn't. I'm sorry, but that doesn't hold water against a Star Wars movie. If you're comparing the Avengers to Star Wars, Star Wars is. It doesn't matter if it's Memorial Day weekend. It doesn't matter if it's. I mean, if you want, it doesn't because you're talking about holidays. The last 3 Star Wars movies have been released during Christmas when people are on vacation. So that's another vacation time you're talking about. So if people are on vacation or they're doing vacation-y things, it doesn't matter. Star Wars is still banging, making tons of money.
Ben, I'm not going to argue with the insiders, and I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't hold water, that it's not reality based. Me jumping up in the air and floating right now is unreality based. It is a solid argument. It's one of the many factors. Because the third factor is it was still facing competition from Avengers. Believe it or not, Avengers and Deadpool, which opened up the week before, were still... The people that didn't see those opening weekend were finally seeing those, just like a lot of people that didn't see Solo this weekend. Some of my diehard fans that I did not see it this weekend because they had too much going on are seeing it this weekend. A guy I hung out with earlier today, Kevin, I asked him, did you go see? He said, no, my work, we took everybody to go see it at work because his work takes them to movies to see all the big movies.
So did he go?
He couldn't go because he was stuck in meetings all day. Because he had taken Friday off for the holiday, so he had to make that up, and he was pissed off that he couldn't go.
So what did he do over the weekend? He didn't have any time to see Star Wars.
No, because Saturday and Sunday he had other things, and Monday he had other things going on. He has 3 kids and a wife.
Sure.
And so not everybody's a single guy like me that can go see it whenever they want. And I can honestly say that
But apparently all us Star Wars fans are man babies in our basements that don't have, whatever.
Well, I'm just saying that...
According to Lucasfilm, that's what... That's
but there's a lot of good movies have recovered from opening up on a Memorial Day weekend. I don't think it's solely the fans that chose not to see this movie in protest or whatever. I know they'd like to think that they brought the Disney empire to their knees, and Disney will release a statement going, the fans are more powerful than you could possibly imagine. I don't think that's the case. Now, I'm not going to say that they didn't.
For the record,
contribute.
I do.
I don't think they definitely contribute, but I still don't think that it was enough. I still don't think it would have made the $100 million mark by Saturday, whether these people had gone to see it or not. Again, it's very hit or miss on a Memorial Day, on a major holiday, because not every Christmas movie that comes out on Christmas. Annie, Huge marketing campaign. It was supposed to be a big hit. It's based on a property. There's a musical. And guess what? Tanked at the box office. It didn't even make a quarter of its money back. Not even a quarter of its $130 million budget. And it's got Jamie Foxx in it. He's hot right now.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. Okay, so if Memorial Day weekend is the poison for this, this is the biggest reason.
It's one of the
why.
reasons.
Okay, why would Lucasfilm decide to release it on Memorial Day weekend?
Why did they decide to release it in May instead of December?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think the marketing and those marketing people should probably be reprimanded for not getting the trailers out sooner and building the hype and having more TV spots, because they really didn't start doing the TV spots until about 2 weeks before it opened.
And I think they were just so afraid of confusing people because The Last Jedi was out. But I think one of the biggest reasons why they didn't release anything was because there was a huge Last Jedi backlash that was going on, and people were very, very seriously upset about that film. So they were trying to let that die down, and as a result, I think it suffered.
See. And I'm not sure, because of the amount of money that they spend on trying to get this film done. I really think that their biggest concern was
getting it done.
Trying to get people interested, regardless of a backlash. We've got all this money invested in this property. We need to sell this, and we're going to try and get everybody on board and to know. And hey, this isn't the last one. This is a different movie, and you all love Han Solo. I just think waiting until February, 3 months before the movie came out, was a mistake.
That was silly.
I think opening it up on Memorial Day weekend was a mistake. I think opening it up the weekend after two major franchise films in the Marvel universe was a mistake. I think if they had released it in June, it probably would have fared better, like on June 16th or whatever. The week before Jurassic World, it probably would have fared better. If they'd waited till December, it probably would have fared better. And I'm not discounting the people that purposely chose not to see it. I do think that they cost them quite a few $1 million, but I don't think it was enough to ruin break it like it did at the box office. I think there's way too many factors involved.
Okay, so this is great, Joe. I love that we can be friends and completely disagree. Yeah. I completely disagree with Joe. I actually think that the reason why Solo failed was because of the boycott. It's a Star Wars movie. This is Star Wars. This is one of the biggest franchises. It is, as we've discussed before, it's the biggest thing ever. And the fans are diehard fans. They are people, regardless of the weekend, regardless of what time or whenever it was, there is a huge amount of people that are going to go see that opening weekend. We saw it happen the last 3 Christmases before that. The last 3 Decembers, last 3 holidays.
I want to know the insider information for the people who gather it from the studios and from the box office, like, again, Variety and those things, because they have a way in where we don't. We can't go, can we see the box office results and tally them? Can we get your opinions on why you think it failed at the box office? Those guys will go in there and get that. And these are all 4 of those are factors.
And so where are they getting this information from, though? So what information are they getting?
They're usually approaching theaters, full-on theater chains, to find out how much they sold, and the theaters will actually tally this information up and present it to the press, because
did they weigh demographics? Like, what did they figure out? Like,
Ben, it's kind of like it's almost next to impossible to say for a fact that the fans brought it to its knees, because for the same reason, there's no census where it's going house to house going, I'm not seeing it because of this or because of that. So all of it is speculatory. But what I'm going by are the guys, the media corporations that actually have the insider information, because they are businesses that focus on entertainment. They can get this information and run it in their trade ads. And I don't think Disney spent a bunch of more money to present that and say, oh, blame it on the weekend or blame it on marketing. In fact, Disney's trying to still pretend like they don't know. This is weird. Why did this happen? We sold all these tickets.
So do you think they do know? Do you think they know specifically?
No, again, it's several factors. It's not, they can't just pinpoint it down to one.
Right, but what I mean is because Disney does have a lot of resources, they have clout, etc. These things. Do you think that they may know a little bit more than the average?
So it's hard to determine, but they're all multiple factors in this. All the books that I read are no longer considered canon. like all the Timothy Zahn and Trusa Bakura and all that kind of stuff.
And you read a bunch of Han Solo books too, didn't you?
Oh, I have, yeah. Han Solo Underworld. I read a lot of the Dark Horse comics. That was my main. I had some of the old Marvels, but the Dark Horses were in the 90s and early 2000s.
I did read some of those.
And I got a stack of them. But
I love the Skywalker saga stuff that was in the Dark Horse series. I love that.
And I like the fact that they took two characters from the Dark Horse run that were kind of like the Rosencrantz and whatever.
Tag and Bink.
Yeah, Tag and Bink.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah, they have an appearance in this. I also like that they took the what are the Cloud Raiders or whatever from an old Marvel comic. It's not based specifically on those characters, but it was close enough that they went, yeah, we're inspired. We're going to use that. And I think that's kind of cool that they're able to pick and choose from various parts of the overall mythology, whether it's canon or not, and make it canon.
So are we agreed? Are we agreed that it's not fatigue?
No, I don't think so.
So you agree with me that it's not fatigue?
I talked to a lot of people who haven't, people I work with, who didn't get a chance to see it this weekend.
So at least we can all agree that it's not Star Wars fatigue. It's not like the fans are getting tired of Star Wars. It's not that they're tired. It's not that they're tired of Star Wars because they aren't.
No.
Ultimately, once again, this is my reiteration that it is because of the boycott. Star Wars fans are rabid fans. We are fans that will go crazy to go see it on Thursday night, the night that it opens. I don't care if it's a movie about Tag and Bink, a movie about a Wookiee family. Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm going to rephrase that entirely. There are enough people that will go see it on opening weekend. It doesn't matter. Those that would have made 160, 170 million.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
There's really no way of knowing exactly why.
So let me ask you this. So when do you think? So you think you're going to have to wait for it to come out on Blu-ray, or can you look at the box office in 3 weeks from now?
Yeah, I'm thinking in 3 weeks we'll see if it's made more money, if it's at least covered half of its cost, because even 130 to 150 million is still only half of what the film overall cost, and that's probably the 300 million probably does, including what little marketing they did. I really think that it's a combination of multiple things.
I agree.
And again, I think the fans that chose not to go see it definitely heard it, but I don't think that was the sole reason any more than I think the holiday weekend was the sole reason, or the marketing, or the competition from the other big blockbusters. I think it's all four of those. Mm-hmm. I think all four of those contributed in their own ways to why this film, because I mean, Independence Day was a huge movie in '96, right? But Independence Resurgence did really well its opening weekend, but then after that it bombed out. Now why is that? Was it bad because the reviews were bad? Was it because it's in a movie no one cares about? I mean, there's all kinds of factors as to why a big franchise movie could make it or fail. And
so speaking of like good, so apparently this is actually a pretty darn good movie. I mean, a lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it. It's divisive, whatever. But the point is that a lot of people do think it's actually pretty darn good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So because that it's good, and if it doesn't take off this weekend, we might look at other directions. So my 2 cents is that honestly, it's because of the boycott. That's the reason why it tanked. Honestly, a Star Wars film coming out opening weekend. This is the worst it's ever been. It made half as much as Rogue One. That's the worst ever. Any Star Wars movie ever of all time. Regardless of any of this stuff, Kathleen Kennedy needs to go, and she made a really horrible decision about that. But anyway, yeah, she's horrible, and she needs to go. So, all these stupid people say crap like not enough diversity.
Really?
I think that's the most ludicrous thing ever.
A lot of strong women.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Black and white, I don't know what they mean by not enough diversity.
So yeah, it's pretty stupid.
I'm not even gonna go there.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. Anyway, so I mean, I think the beauty of this whole talk/debate, I think we agree on the fact that it's not fatigue. It's not Star Wars fatigue. People aren't tired of Star Wars. That's not the reason that people didn't go to this movie. And so, I mean, I think our what we've come to realize that it sounds to me like it could be a number of things. I maintain that it's the boycott, because I really believe strongly that Star Wars fans would have been there, and it would have blown that 150 that Disney
But then why? Why would they
pretended to
want hurt
have.
this
They
movie?
pretended to have those numbers, and they lied to the public about it. That's just despicable.
I still don't understand why people would want to hurt this movie. This isn't The Last Jedi. This is
I know.
something. And do you not want Disney to continue to make Star Wars movies?
I want
I would rather-
I want Kathleen Kennedy gone. I want her
don't.
out of there.
She greenlit and produced Rogue One. I have no complaints. But then again, I didn't dislike The Last Jedi, so felt very Arthurian to me. But I just don't understand why. Do you fans not want? Because as a fan, I'm fine with them doing a Boba Fett movie, and I'll see any Star Wars movie. I'll even watch the Ewoks Adventures, even though I don't love it at all.
By the way, I was joking about the Ewok stuff. I was just trying to drive a point home. That's all I was saying.
I have the VHS for those.
That is so cool. So in case any of you don't know, there were some live-action Ewok Adventures films that were made in 87 or 88 or something like that after Return of the Jedi.
85.
Oh, okay, so that was right after.
Ewoks Adventures and Ewoks Battle for Endor,
okay.
and they are not good.
They were fun when I was a kid because I saw them when I was a kid and they were fun then.
Howard
But anyway,
the Duck was a lot of fun when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and when I finally got older and read the comic books, I was like, that's
not at all.
okay. I still enjoy it as a guilty pleasure because it's from my youth and I can disassociate it from the comic book. But they did Howard much better in Guardians. That's all.
George Lucas directed Howard the Duck, or produced Howard the Duck. Okay.
Yeah, he was one of the producers of that movie.
Leah Thompson plays a rock star, a really hot rock star.
Oh man, and that's another reson why I like watching it is because I love Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson is beautiful.
Yes.
So anyway,
she still is.
But thanks again for watching. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it was the boycott? I really do. I really think it was the boycott. And do you think it was maybe these are the reasons? Do you think the Memorial Day did have a play in it? Do you feel like possibly that maybe people just were, I'll go see it next weekend. But I guess we're gonna find out this weekend.
Maybe people are starting to get kind of more like, another Star Wars movie. I'll wait, or I'll see it eventually, or why did they do a solo movie? There's no point for. I don't know. I can't really speak for it.
So this is my opinion. I can get on board with what you're saying there, because it's, especially if you're saying that. The reason why, and this is my opinion, once again, just my opinion, these Disney Star Wars movies are not as good as the original, as these other things. In my personal opinion, this is my opinion, I think George Lucas' Star Wars is being sorely missed. The first 6 episodes that he did, something that that we all aspire to, is something that I personally aspire to. I think that these films are not even coming close to those, and that's just my opinion. I think the original George Lucas Star Wars is what Star Wars really is, and these are kind of cheap imitation Walmart version of Star Wars, and that's just again this is just my opinion. I really feel, and a lot of people think, say that these feel like Star Wars, and forgive me, I haven't even seen this stupid movie yet, but honestly, that's how I feel. I feel like this new Disney version of Star Wars is Walmart Star Wars, and the original Star Wars films are real Star Wars. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I think that just goes back to the fatigue that people might be getting. They might be getting the fatigue from another Disney Star Wars movie, and that's what I said, and that's what I know a lot of people have said. A Disney Star Wars movie,
or just another huge another sequel in the franchise, because people do get leery, and that's why eventually a lot of franchises bottom out. Rogue One and Han Solo are the best of the Disney Star Wars movies so far.
So the standalone movies, you're saying yeah. For you, the standalone movies seem to be just better films, and at least that's what people are saying, it seems like.
And again, my theory is because they don't necessarily have to operate within the Skywalker continuity. So I guess then you have to kind of decide as a fan, do you want to support it? Do you not want to support it? Is it still fun? And I think that's what it comes down to. For me, they're still fun. And so I'll still continue to see them.
That's cool, and I'm
when they're not fun, I won't.
And I'm actually so happy for you, because like I am finding myself having a hard time having fun with them, and as a result, there are a lot of people that are boycotting Episode 9, and I'm seriously considering at this point probably going to be boycotting Episode 9, and my biggest reason is because Luke, Mark Hamill's not going to be in it apparently, so. That's one of those things.
Not even as a Force ghost, huh?
Nope.
Bummer. I'll have to wait and see the trailers to see if it's something I want to see, because I know what that's like to fall out of a franchise. Lost World Jurassic Park killed it for me. So I never saw Jurassic Park 3. I saw Jurassic World, and I wish I wouldn't have. I have no desire to see the new one. Not even when it's available for streaming on Netflix will I sit and watch that movie. Same thing with the TV show Westworld, and I'm a huge fan of the original films, Westworld, Future World. I don't really care for the original TV show Beyond Westworld because it's pretty much garbage, but I know what it's like to fall out of a franchise and get disheartened by something that you really loved and believed in. And so for all those people that feel that Star Wars is no fun anymore, I totally I feel you. You know, Wrath of Khan set the standard for Star Trek films. Empire set the standard for Star Wars films. Aliens and Alien set the standard for the Alien movies. If you see 2 or more of films in the franchise that just aren't enjoyable, why continue? I did that with the Terminator movies. Terminator 3 was so terrible that I can't believe I saw Battlestar Transforminator Salvation. We appreciate you listening to us, and have yourself a great weekend, and like and subscribe.